Okay, good morning, Ridgewood. It is Friday, April 3rd. We're joined today with Mr. Nias, our Director of Guidance, and Mr. Fabish, another guidance counselor. I'm Dave Bailey. This is our second weekly review, and what we're going to try to do in guidance over the next few weeks is have a weekly update, short 5 to 10 minute video that we can send to you guys just to kind of give you the updates on what's going on. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about what seniors should be doing with making their final calls with college admissions, what juniors should be doing as they're right in the beginning of the process of looking for colleges and creating their list of schools. And then we'll give you the latest on the AP exam updates. So that's the agenda today.
Excellent. Thanks, Mr. Bailey. So, Mr. Nias, we're getting a lot of communications from seniors now that have heard from most, if not all, of their schools and wanting to make a decision. And this is a unique time with schools closing campuses. Kids can't necessarily go visit and things like that. So what have you found the colleges are doing to kind of help kids make their decisions now?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm sure you guys have been getting a lot of, emails and, kids asking you about, now that I know my choices, how do I make those decisions? And, all of the, freshman admit days and orientation days have been canceled at this point. And, a lot of the things that lead up to kids maybe taking that last visit to make a decision, obviously that's not happening. So what colleges are doing, and I'm getting a lot of emails from different schools, and I'm sure, I know you guys are too, because you share them with me, I share them with you. They're doing virtual student admit days. They're doing webinars. They're doing student chats, individual chats, with the students, the admin, the students from the admissions offices are having those individual chats. They're having, parent sessions, orientations are being done virtually. So they are trying to do just like what we're doing today, keeping in touch. So I called Colgate, I called Georgetown, and I called Penn State, and most of them are saying the same things, about the stuff I just mentioned. I think, are you guys getting the same information I am?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of the same information. Just hearing how schools are using YouTube, they're using Instagram, they're using even things like TikTok to be able to get information out to kids and just share with them some more about the schools. It'll be interesting. I talked with a student the other day that she was telling me how, each school that she had been admitted to is running a different admitted students day virtually.
Right.
And hopefully by next week, we'll be able to sit down and talk about how those things went for her and get some kind of live feedback of how these things actually go. I'll be interested to hear from the kids what their thoughts were about actually doing all of this. It's awesome that it's offered, and I'm hopeful that the colleges can put out a good product in that regard. But it'll be great to hear from the kids about how they perceive all of that. And how it helps them make their choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of the kids, I think, who are going through this, and the colleges are adapting right now as well. They're in the last 2 weeks, I've seen a lot more come out from the colleges. I mean, Loyola down in Maryland now is offering like one-on-one video chats with admission and financial aid counselors. Providence is having a virtual visit week, the week of April 13th. So they're kind of creating these things on the fly themselves. But for our students, I would say, if you're feeling kind of overwhelmed by this because it's different, to reach out to your guidance counselor and let's have a video chat and let's have a conference and let's kind of talk things through. The other thing is we have alumni at a lot of these colleges. And
yeah, I was just going to mention that, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was thinking of that when you were talking, because a lot of times, even during, normalcy, if you want to go there, I would hook a kid up with an alumni from our school to talk to, and make those decisions, because a lot of times the students are going to give you information that you're not going to see on that virtual tour. You know, they're going to tell you what's happening on the weekends, you know, how the food is, really how the food is, you know, and, you know, just some of the important things that you would get from, you know, and the other thing too is from, you know, when you talk to an alum, they're coming from the same environment from you as you, and so their experience is going to be similar, you know, that away from home experience, if you will, because it is the first time that they're away from home, and it is a big deal. So, you know, I think the things the colleges are trying to do are important, you know, but, you know, they can't replicate the real thing, but they're doing the best they can to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And also be confident in also like the process that we've been on this journey now for a year. So since last January, juniors, you've been working with your counselors and your parents, and you've visited schools, and you've done a lot of this already. So although you can't physically go visit maybe that final college or the final 2 to 3 that you came down to, there's virtual ways to do that. There's other people to talk to. And ultimately, it's just about finding that right fit for you, and you know, have faith in the process that you've been doing for the last 18 months.
Sure. Right, and then you know, we've also found when you actually make your decision, you're going to put a deposit down at that school, and traditionally May 1st is the deposit date, and we're getting lots of different information from schools too. So just be mindful of for the students, be mindful of the schools that you've been admitted to and what their deposit date is going to be, whether that stays May 1st or whether that's something different. Places like we've mentioned Loyola a couple of times, but that they've moved theirs to June 1st. I communicated with Georgetown. I know that theirs is going to stay May 1st. I've even heard some schools move it all the way to June 15th. So, you know, that's something that too at each of those schools could have an effect on wait lists, you know, which is a different topic. But just something to consider, because that's going to have that kind of delays the waitlisting process too. So we're available to talk those little details through if you wanted.
That's a good point.
That is a great point.
So moving, do you have any other last things to talk about with seniors, or do you want to move on to juniors?
Just to reiterate one last point with what Chris just brought up, you know, there's a pretty hefty list of schools that did move their deposit date to June 1st. I'm going to share that with you guys. I mean, some of the individual counselors might have posted it on their classroom. I know you guys saw the list that Ms. Watson shared with us the other day. It's, you know, there's literally hundreds of schools that moved their deposit date. So that will affect the wait list for sure. I think that was a really good point, Chris.
Yeah. And then also, if there's any financial, you know, hardships that are developing over the next few months, you know, colleges are reaching out in the financial aid departments, and, you know, it definitely makes sense to contact them directly. Moving on to juniors. So, been talking to a lot of juniors and their parents, and you know, obviously the number one concern is the standardized testing. So some have taken one, some have not taken them yet. So the SAT and ACT, what do you guys think should be the main message to juniors who are not able to take those tests for the foreseeable future?
Well, I'll start with this. You know, one of the things that I think, again, you guys, we've been talking about this in our guidance meetings, a number of schools that are traditionally test schools that, you know, require these tests, that never been test optional schools are becoming test optional schools. And they're saying it's temporary. They're going to do it for the next 2 to 3 years as being test optional because of the, you know, they're being, you know, mindful of the students who couldn't get out to the March exam, can't get out to the May exam. They haven't canceled the June SAT yet, but they, they may. So they want to give everybody the opportunity, to, make a good decision about the schools that they're applying to. So they are making a lot of concessions in terms of becoming test optional for the, the unforeseeable future. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, The thing that I've been seeing too with a lot of the schools is they're being, and again, they kind of have to, but they're being very, very flexible with how they're going to look at this second semester. I think they're saying all the right things, and I think the hard part for them is going to be, how Ridgewood handles our transcripts in our second semester might not be the same as how Glenrock does it. And so, schools are going to have to be open-minded about how this second semester looks, just academically. So there are lots of other things, though, that haven't changed, right? So what you guys as the students have done over the last couple of years, that hasn't changed. All the part-time jobs you've had, all the activities you've done. And so, you want to make sure that you're, going back and kind of creating a little bit of a resume to get ready for your college application process about all those other things that you had complete control over, that you still have control over, and that you're going to want to share, because the colleges they're going to have to take a bit of, what we call a more holistic approach to the application process. You want to make sure that all of those things are in order so that you can share that on your applications.
That's a good point, Mr. Fabish. And on the positive side, I mean, everybody's in the same boat, the entire country. So I don't want our kids to feel like they're disadvantaged in any way. The colleges understand that we're in this position, and it's, no fault of the kids. So that the admissions process may look a little bit different in the fall, but they will adjust and we will adjust. At this point, as the juniors are, typically they'd be visiting in April, they'd be really getting to know the schools on their list. How do you guys recommend that they start narrowing down their list of schools between now and, let's say, July 1st, without having the ability to actually physically visit the schools?
Well, I mean, I think we kind of hit on some of this before. I do think they have to take advantages of what the colleges are offering. Although they can't physically get to the campuses, I think they have to do the virtual tours. I think they have to do the webinars. I think they have to, get in touch with a student from the school, and, ask the questions that they've been wondering. And many of our, I'm thinking of our seniors, have done the actual tours, and the juniors, this is the time that they do it. So they're missing out on some of this. So it's a really good point, Mr. Bailey, about this. And I'm hoping, that they're going to have opportunities in the fall to get to the campuses. And, at that point, again, but they should be doing some of the same things that the seniors are doing, because I'm sure they're available online to start doing.
Yeah, and I think as we move along here, and if we are at home for a few more weeks and months, these colleges they're going to reveal different platforms and different ways for them to advertise their school. So, it's going to be on them a lot. You're their their clients that they want to reach out to and attract. So as most of you have probably already had your junior college conferences with your counselors. If you haven't, you should schedule them and have those virtually. I've had a few in the last few weeks, and they've been great. Just as efficient as in the office. So make sure you take advantage of that. Let's create a list of 10 to 15 schools right now. And then you can start to look at their websites, see what they offer, get to know them more between now and the summer. And like Mr. Nye said, hopefully in the summer, you're able to get onto these campuses. Maybe it's even the fall, which isn't a bad time to visit either.
And just one last point. I mean, those 11th grade parent meetings are so important, as Mr. Bailey said. And there's ways that our counselors can share their screen with you so they can show you what they're looking at. We really do. We do try to make it the same as if you were in this, in the same area or the office of the counselors. And then the other thing is, as far as grading, as Mr. Fabish had talked about, many schools, are accepting different types of grades for the fall, like pass-fail. Ridgewood High School is going to continue to give grades. I think for the rest of the year, we really feel like 3/4 of the year has been covered. And we know who you are as students, and the teachers are really working, and the administration is working really hard on how to come up with fair assessments for you guys, so that you can keep the weighting in your weighted classes, and that you can, your GPA is going to be the same, or in my case, I think they're going to be better in most cases, moving forward. So please know that we are thinking of these things, and we're mindful of what you guys are thinking of on your transcripts, and we're doing our best to make this very authentic and just like you were in the classroom.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that last point about all of this being authentic and as close to the classroom experience. And first, aside from the fact that we can't physically be present in our offices, there's no, again, there's almost nothing that would change about the junior process, except for the visiting. You're still going to do all the same research, all the same information is still available through Naviance, all the same resources are available through the guidance office. It's just, instead of meeting at the school, we're going to meet just like this. So go about business as usual in that regard. And that's really one thing that, just a kind of a plug for our staff. The teaching staff has done a tremendous job of really just trying to make this process as close to the school experience as possible. And I think that's something that is going to benefit you guys in the long run, because everything will be as close to normal when we are presenting it to colleges. So, just a kudos to the staff for being able to do that.
And then finally, just an AP test update. Mr. Nias and myself and Mrs. Schmitz were in a webinar last night. So they're just starting to roll out everything. Actually today, they're going to roll out the testing schedule and just some important details. But the main thing and the main questions we've been receiving, it's going to be a 45-minute exam. And obviously, you're going to be taking this at your home on your computer or on your phone. There will be no multiple choice questions, so they're going to be all open-ended questions. You are going to be able to use notes and textbooks, but they're going to have heavy security in there to make sure that students are not cheating, to make sure that students are actually taking the exam and not somebody else. They're actually not even telling us a lot of the things that they're going to do security-wise, just so we don't even share that with students. So they are taking that very seriously. If you have accommodations, so with extended time, when you log into your exam, you're going to have a clock on the screen that says 45 minutes. If you have been approved by College Board for extended time already, your extended time clock will be automatic. There's nothing that you have to do. For other accommodations, they're going to roll out that information today and next week. So that'll be to be determined, but we will contact you about that if you have other accommodations. Mr. Nice, missing anything? Oh, if they do, they are giving you the option at this point. If you do not want to take the exam, they will offer you a free refund, a full refund. So we will let you know what that process is going to be internally at Ridgewood High School. We're going to be sending out a message to the community within a few days here. But we still recommend, I mean, we're into April now with this exam. The content on the test will be only curriculum covered up until the first week in March.
Right.
You're going to be prepared. It's a 45-minute exam. We recommend that you still take it if you were planning on taking it. The colleges have rallied around College Board and said they're going to still accept credit if they have in the past. So it's going to be kind of business as usual from that end. So, but if for whatever reason you feel like you don't want to take the exam, we will have a process in place and you will get a full refund.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here, Dave. That was really, you pretty much hit on all the points, that any of us, I think, would talk about. And honestly, they're going to be posting all of these on the AP website if they haven't already. I just, I'm looking over notes from last night's webinar that we, a few of us listened to, and but I think the most important thing for Ridgewood High School students is we are still holding to the policy that you need to take the exam to get the AP weight. I think that's important to know. As Mr. Bailey mentioned, the colleges, have promised to honor the scores on the AP exams the same way they have in the past. So, we need to keep our policy similar. And, pretty much everybody who is going to take the test, has already committed and paid for the exam, because they've changed the platform this year that we, had you guys sign in as students in October, if you remember. So, it is business as usual. The schedule is up, and we will share that with you as far as when the exams are going to take place. The only other thing is, some of the tests are going to have, one question that you need to answer in the 45 minutes. Some of them are going to have two, a 20-minute question and a 15. So it's each of them are going to be this, very similar, but they're really going to try to, get a good understanding of what you guys know from the time you started the class. And as Mr. Bailey said, the material will end in March. And talking to our AP teachers, they're concentrating on, finishing up the materials that they know that they need to do to, up to the curriculum in March. But now they're just, they're going to review, and they're going to, after you guys take the AP exam, they're going to finish the course, which is going to be a little different for them, but I think it's going to advantage you guys.
And we have had a few students that have reached out and said, can I sign up for the test now at this point? I didn't sign up initially, but, now for whatever reason, can I take it? We've checked with College Board. They said no. They just don't have the system in place to allow that at this point. It's a lot of extra work on their end. It's extra work internally at the high school. So unfortunately, if you had missed a deadline, that's going to be it for this year. So, I think that concludes our weekly review this week. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. And we're going to try to do this weekly. We'll take next week off, but after we come back, and please contact us and reach out to us with whatever you guys need.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Nice.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.